Okay, hello, and welcome everyone to this new Tresorit webinar. So today we are presenting in cooperation with Threema, and we're going to be talking about the importance of securing all your digital business valuables, communications, and the role of end-to-end encryption in getting there. So before we get going, there's a few people still joining. I'm going to take this opportunity to just introduce myself as well as my co-host for today, Miguel. So I'm Olivia and I lead the product marketing team at Tresorit. My focus is on connecting the dots between the products we build and the customers. So ensuring we keep developing solutions that meet real needs. Miguel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Miguel. I lead sales and customer success at Threema for our B2B business. My team and I work together with prospects and clients to make sure that they can protect both their information and the privacy through secure communication solutions. In the last weeks, you might have read in the news about our latest win, the Swiss police.
Thank you so much. So now that that's done, let's dive right in. Just to let you know a little bit of like housekeeping, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and you can share your questions as we go through this presentation. You can even do so anonymously, and we'll have a section at the end of this webinar to do questions and answers, so we'll go through these then. So Miguel and I are just going to briefly introduce Tresorit and Threema respectively, just so you know what angle we're coming from. So to start with Tresorit, at the core of the Tresorit solution is a patented end-to-end encryption technology based on open source cryptography. And behind this is a team of more than 120 talented engineers, marketing experts, and we're located in offices in Germany, Hungary, and Switzerland. And about a year ago now, the Swiss Post became a major strategic investor.
On our side, Threema, like Tresorit, also started 10 years ago with the mission to protect users' privacy and information. In 2016, we launched Threema Work, our solution for companies, which today became the European market leader for secure communications. And we count already over 2.5 million users and over 7,500 customers. Our customers rely heavily on Threema or our Threema Work or our on-premise solution to either use it as enterprise messaging solution, as secure messenger, as well as a complement to collaboration solutions, or as business continuity solutions. If we take a deeper look into our customers, we can say that Threema is used across all possible industries and by organizations all around the globe. We are very proud that the solution is used by companies such as Daimler, Mercedes-Benz, ThyssenKrupp Elevators, the Swiss Army, the Swiss Police, or also the German Central Bank or the Bavarian Tax Office, among many, many others.
Thank you very much. So for those that have joined a Tresorit webinar before, you probably won't be surprised to see this slide as our core mission hasn't changed. But I'm here with Miguel today because this mission is actually one that Tresorit shares very closely with Threema, as you'll discover. And we believe that data privacy is a human right. We aim to empower everyone to take back control of their digital valuables. And at the core of what we do is best-in-class end-to-end technology. But we're seeing that increasingly, as our world digitizes, data is at risk everywhere. And for businesses, we've actually seen that a majority of company communication is still facilitated via email, and the use of emails rose in 80% of companies in 2021. This leaves businesses even more vulnerable to email-based security threats. But Miguel, what's the trend when it comes to instant messaging for businesses?
We also see the same trend on the messenger front. The usage of messengers increased substantially in the last couple of years. And by now, 66% of all companies use messenger services for internal or external communication. Messaging became by now already the second most used channel in corporate communication. This unfortunately also brings quite some risks into the game. We unfortunately also see that many organizations rely on non-compliant and unsecure solutions when it comes to messengers, leaving companies exposed to major security or regulatory risks. The usage of private messengers for both private and business communications as an example, as well as the issues arising from the inability of managing users and security settings, is causing, as an example, a lot of the so-called data accidents. So when you share information with people that you did not intend to share. Further, there is a risk for violations or data privacy regulations resulting from that. Also because most private messengers are not GDPR compliant. As you cannot control with whom you can share information, or with whom you're sharing information, there is also an increased risk of losing highly valuable assets and spreading information outside of the organization that you should not. If you receive, as an example, a WhatsApp or Signal, nothing prevents you from sending this to somebody else outside of the organization because of those missing settings. Many of these risks also rise exponentially because of the rise of shadow IT. As shadow IT, we define the usage of private software, like a private messenger, for business usage. Many of these solutions that we're already discussing do not even meet moderate security or privacy requirements. Last but not least, companies also often do not provide to non-desktop workers the same level of security as for desktop workers, even though they would even require stricter controls and more strict security measures.
Luckily, there is a way to mitigate these risks, and that is end-to-end encryption and privacy by design. And by that, we mean end-to-end encryption that's human first, embedded into daily workflows, and supported by a powerful suite of admin capabilities. So what is end-to-end encryption? So end-to-end encryption secures communications even whilst it's transferred from one system or device to another. As it travels to the intended recipient, the message can't be deciphered or tampered with, even by your internet service provider. But as with many things, the effect of end-to-end encryption is best when compounded and all communication channels are secured. So from file storage to file sharing, emailing, and instant messaging. But are all encryption solutions created equal? And here I'm going to say they are not. So here's an example of an at-rest encryption method. And at-rest here means that the file or data is encrypted in storage only. You can see the little icons on this illustration. And it's decrypted when in transit. Now, you have to watch out because many providers will call this end-to-end encryption, but you can see that it's actually still open and vulnerable to sort of hacking attacks, data leaks, and so on. On the other hand, true end-to-end encryption means that no one except you, so not even the service provider, for example, Tresorit or your internet service provider, can access your data. I think you can all spot the difference on this illustration. This is the principle of zero knowledge. The crucial point on this slide is that even if an attack should happen, for example, on one of the servers, none of the content would be readable because it's totally encrypted. So with this in mind, I would just like to ask you a quick question in the form of a poll to make sure that you're still following. So what kind of encryption should you be looking out for to truly protect your business's valuable data? So if you don't already, you should be seeing a pop-up on your screen. And while you take a second to look at this, I will just have a sip of water. Okay, a few more seconds. But I can see that the huge majority of you want to see the encryption being truly end-to-end, from the endpoints in motion and in rest. The whole transit should be encrypted as well. And we both agree with this as well. Thank you very much. So for now, I'd like to hand back over to Miguel, who will chat you through some more benefits of true end-to-end encryption. Oh, I think you have to unmute. Happens to the best of us.
Thanks a lot. I'd like to emphasize again on the point that you were mentioning right now. It's really important to understand the difference between the two methodologies, as we see more and more providers talking about true end-to-end encryption. But if you then start to look into it, you see that there are quite a lot of differences. The most important benefits, and you mentioned already some of them, are that, first of all, providers do not have access to the content that you share. But it's important also to extend that a bit more. It's not only the content, but there is way more to protect than just the content of the messages. There's also metadata, there are backups, profile information, and many other elements that are relevant that some protect and others don't. Also, if you look at solutions like Tresorit, they enable you to maintain control over the data also after you share it, and get insights on who is really accessing the data. Also, you could stay in control of where your data is stored, which is really important. To make all this happen and happen in a way that's easily implemented and scalable, you need a powerful suite of admin tools for the management of the solutions. And here at Threema, we, as an example, we started already with privacy by design approach. We offered from day one the possibility to use the solution in a complete anonymous way. You do not need to enter your mobile phone number or email address to work with the solution. And we offer a very powerful management suite where you can control over 28 security policies on the device. And also for administrators, you have over 17 settings that you can control, making it a very extensive and powerful management cockpit to make sure that the information is protected. How does it look like on your end?
So at Tresorit, we also allow admin users to set policies for different user groups. So ensuring that everyone has the right level of access and permissions. For example, the HR team access might be different to the finance team access, or the management board's access to data. Keeping an activity log of devices and user statistics also means that everything can be audited. And this facilitates investigations should there ever be a data breach, for example. And another example is Tresorit offers a number of other sort of security tools that can ensure, for instance, that data can be protected even if a device is lost or stolen. Miguel, can you chat us through some of your top tips for those of us looking for a new instant messaging solution for our business?
Of course. We also just had a couple of weeks ago a very interesting webinar with the FZI on the topic, and there we covered some of these points that are really important when you want to select the proper messenger. What does this mean? So if you're interested in protecting your information, know-how, and IP, as well as provide a regulatory compliant solution, you should take into consideration the following elements. First, the solution should offer a true end-to-end encryption and full transparency. We already talked before about this element of encryption, and yeah, just be careful about false claims when you select a solution. The architecture should be decentralized, and the group management should be enabled. And a very, very important element also for many of our clients is transparency. So ideally, the solution is open sourced. Regular audits are conducted, and the solution is also properly documented. The messenger of choice needs also to be GDPR compliant and offer the possibility to be used in an anonymous way. As we were touching before, no need of email address, no need of phone number is really critical also for many applications, like the bring your own device situation that we see in many companies after the pandemic. You should also be able to prevent storing of data or the storage of the data in different clouds. And ideally, the solution should also offer the possibility to be hosted on your own premises. If we continue and look a bit on the user management and other business features, this is really a key element. I discussed it a bit before. It's really important that you can manage the credentials and the users. As an example, you should be able to remove someone from a group if the person leaves the organization. You do not want to continue to share information with that person once the employee is no longer part of the company. Also, critical elements that enable the usage of a messenger are features like broadcast, where you can create distribution lists, feeds, surveys, and many, many more things. The last point has also a bit to do with reputation. So ideally, you select a messenger that has a wide adoption, that has strong references, and that, of course, had no security incidents in the past. To go a bit further on the topic of GDPR compliance and regulations, I want to make here a point specifically on WhatsApp, because I know that many organizations use also WhatsApp for business purposes. And here we have a couple of issues. So first is WhatsApp is not GDPR compliant. So that's already the first element that companies need to be aware of. Why is it the case? Because WhatsApp collects personal data, like phone number, device identifier, group membership, the address, the Wi-Fi you're connected to, and so on and so on. And also, you need to be aware that if you use WhatsApp, the syncing of the address book with the service database represents a data exchange, and therefore would require the consent of all participants, which I've never heard of, that somebody asks them, the people that are in a WhatsApp group, hey, are you fine that we do this, that we discuss these elements? That never happens. Really important also to understand on this element is that if you use WhatsApp for already minimal things related to business, you're already GDPR compliant. So if you organize your Christmas party through WhatsApp, then you are GDPR compliant. If you selectively use this channel as an organization, as a management, and you're aware that this is happening and you give the consent for this, then you even might lose the protection that you have if there are lawsuits that are filed against you. So it's really important to understand that here there are a lot of risks that can happen. If we look also a bit further, we also have Microsoft Teams, which is widely adopted and has been used by many organizations now during the pandemic situation, and we increased also, increased a lot the usage. Today, over 170 million users are using Microsoft Teams. And this, of course, makes it very interesting for hackers, because ideally you want to hack a solution that is used by many, because then the reward, the impact is a lot higher. Also, the deep integration with Office 365 makes it more attractive and easier to penetrate than other solutions that are more in a closed environment. Therefore, there have been repeatedly cyber attacks that were successful, and also even Microsoft themselves issued several security warnings in the last months and years. Something that many are not aware of is the last point. MS Teams is not end-to-end encrypted. So all the communication that you send through MS Teams is not encrypted. That should be also something to consider. Of course, a secure messenger is not a replacement for a collaboration solution, both have the purpose and are used for different things. So like many of our customers do, they use both solutions, one next to the other. So this on our side and on the selection of a secure messenger, the threats that come with private messengers, and also how it compares to a collaboration solution. But how does it look on your side? How can people select the right solution?
Apologies, Zoom technical issues, but I'm back now. So when it comes to internal and external file sharing, there are a few things that that you need to look out for. And first of all, you want to make sure that the solution that you choose is fit for purpose and meets your compliance requirements. So that can be government regulations or industry-specific body standards. But for example, being able to choose where to store your data, so data residency options, could be a good start and one sort of box ticked in ensuring you comply. And it goes without saying, but a reliable solution, a stable product that you can rely on long term is also a must, so that you're not left out in the cold with no access to your own super valuable data if the provider sort of experiences a downtime. And we have spoken already about shadow IT, and we at Tresorit always place a great deal of emphasis on intuitive user experiences, whether that's for admins managing a subscription or end users, because the easier it is to get to grips with, the higher adoption, and then it goes without saying that that's the less you need less IT sort of time, IT resources to get everyone up and running and using the solution. No integrations, no new complex workflows to set up, and so on. Something else to look out for or to check is making sure that you're staying in control, because if you're not in control, then your alarm bells should be going off. So look for zero knowledge architecture and an admin console that can let you monitor what happens to your own content. And finally, make sure you trust your chosen partner and that you know they'll stick by you if anything happens. Looking for a solution based in favorable jurisdictions when it comes to privacy, for example, could be a good start. So Switzerland is an example that's relevant to both Tresorit and Threema. So we have gotten to the moment that probably you're all waiting for. Please post your questions in the Q&A section. I can see some coming through now, but we'll wait a couple of moments. We may not get through all of the questions today, because I want to make sure we are mindful of your time and finish on time. So don't worry if we don't get to your question today. We will answer every single question in the form of a Q&A that we will send along with the recording of this webinar. So I'm going to take a little bit more water and wait a couple more minutes for the questions. Okay, thank you. So let's start running through some of the questions that I've seen. Maybe I have one here for you, Miguel. What happens to the messages on the employee mobile when he is excluded from the group, I presume?
So if you use Threema Work or our Threema on-premise solution, you have the possibility to manage the credentials and the users within our management cockpit. This means that if somebody leaves the organization, he can be removed immediately from the communication. So he will not, his ID can be revoked or his ID can be detached in that sense, so that he does not receive any more messages at all. So he will not be having access anymore to the information that's been shared to him or is going to be shared with that person.
Thank you. Oh, I'm a little bit jumping in the Q&A section here, so sorry while I while I manage this. Another good question: can I back up Tresorit and Threema data on my own servers? I think, Miguel, you started answering maybe this question when you touched about sort of like on-premise. Tresorit does offer a certain amount of sort of customization. And if this is something that is on sort of the tick box list, then please get in touch and we can give you more detail. Is it also the case for Threema?
Yes, so as I mentioned before, Threema can be used on-premise and can be deployed on the own servers of the customer. And backups can be done on a local level, means every individual user can do a backup directly and store the information on the device itself.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if we can take one more question here. Oh, there's a couple more coming through the chat here. Can blockchain make Tresorit more secure? I am very afraid to have to reveal that I'm not technical enough to give you an opinion about blockchain, but I have some much more knowledgeable people and clever people by my side. So this is something that we can answer in the Q&A as a follow-up to this. And I just saw in the chat as well, can you bring your own bring your own key rather on the roadmap for Tresorit? It is something that's on the long-term product roadmap for Tresorit. So please keep an eye out for that. There's quite a few more questions here, but I am going to just say one more thing before we wrap up the presentation so that we finish on time. And that is to save the date for the next webinar, which will be on the 26th of July. It's a very important one because we at Tresorit will be presenting the summer edition of our State of the Nation. So our fantastic team of product managers, much more techy than me, will be talking through the most significant changes to the Tresorit product in the first 6 months of 2022. So they'll go through the add-ons, the new features, all our enhancements. And those of you that do join or are able to join might also get a little teaser of what's on the team's roadmap for the rest of the year and beyond in 2023. So if you're interested in knowing what's on the horizon for Tresorit, then that will be one for you. So with this in mind, I would like to ask Miguel to do the honors and have the closing words for this session.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope this was an insightful webinar for all of you. We are very pleased with the huge number of attendants that we had, and also are very thankful for the participation, both in the polls as well as now in the Q&A section. I will make sure to answer all the other questions as quickly as possible. There were also quite a few commercial questions, if there are bundles available for Threema and Tresorit, so we'll make sure to answer all of them as well, and make sure that we provide nice bundles to the interested parties. With that, thanks a lot to Olivia as well for guiding through the whole event. And yeah, I wish you a great rest of the day. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.